What Alandria has taught me is that a lot of black women are going to miss out on their perfect partner or their husband because they assume that their husband is going to be black. Nick has been more attentive, more caring, more understanding, more forgiving than Taylor ever has. Taylor blatantly said, someone doesn't like you. And let me be clear, because I did date a white man and everyone likes to bring that up. I'm not necessarily saying he is white. He could be Hispanic. He could be Asian. But Alandria, like a lot of black women, are trained that our husbands are going to be black men. And that just may not be the case. And some other creator alluded to this. She talked about the sunken fallacy. I'm going to add her below. But it made me think how many times I've seen young black women, especially in their 20s, stick beside a man who clearly is not interested in her, all for the idea or the illusion of black love. And this is not something that is taught to black men. They date outside their race, which they have every right to. But this idea that we are supposed to be race loyal, but this idea that we are supposed to be race loyal, but this idea that we are supposed to be race loyal. And let me be clear, because I did date a white man and everyone likes to bring that up. When we are supposed to be partnered with a group of men who are not race loyal is why we have some of the lowest marital rates. Alandria could have been with Nick. Alandria could have been happy. Alandria, like a lot of black women, are sticking beside a man who don't want her. And let me be clear, because I did date a white man and everyone likes to bring that up. I mean this in the nicest way possible. Why are you preserving a bloodline when the men in that bloodline don't want to preserve it either? So what you're doing is you're willing to have daughters, possibly sons, but we're going to speak on daughters. You're willing to have daughters who are going to be raised to potentially go out there and date a group of men who do not value having daughters who look like your daughter. All because you are hell-bent on preserving a bloodline when the men in that bloodline do not have the same goals and aspirations as you do. That's the problem. I'm not sure if you're trying to be hostile. I don't think you are. And I hear this sentiment a lot, but I think we need to be very realistic. We're setting our daughters up for failure by having them knowing what you said, that black men have no desire to preserve the bloodline when it comes to African American people. So who are your daughters going to date? Okay. And let me be clear, because I did date a white man and everyone likes to bring that up.
Shout out to Davin Drew, because I've been following her for a long time. She always says the thing that needs to be said, because she just said black women are trying to preserve a bloodline that black men don't even want. And in the conversation of having fully black children, I think the video was talking about Alandria not seeing, because you could tell Alandria wants, black love, a black man. And she was replying to a comment of a black woman saying, like, no, I want to have really dark children and I want this and I want that. And she responded, and she had to wake it up, because as a sociologist, as someone who reads a lot of books and goes to a lot of therapy and just is observant of the world around me, black women are by ourselves trying to extend the black race, trying to have full black babies to preserve a bloodline that by and large a lot of black men don't give a fuck about preserving. And as a little girl who grew up with her daddy and who grew up as a fat black woman, I have a lot of male friends, and because they don't see me in an attractive light, they see me as a friend. They talk a lot and they say a lot of things, and it's an uncomfortable conversation to have. But when you really listen to men talk about their preferences, a lot of them want to have daughters who they would be attracted to. And it sounds sick when you think about it, because it is. But a lot of how they partner comes with having children, little boys who they deem desirable, who will be desirable, right? And also little girls that they themselves would desire. And that's the lens in which a lot of them partner. And Davin is just such a correct, because she's gonna wake it up. Whether it makes you uncomfortable, because that's the sad truth of the matter, is that black women are trying to preserve a bloodline, trying to preserve us with a bunch of men who don't want to do that. and I don't want to speak for all men, but a lot of the sentiment of men, even when you talk about the conversation that was happening around the 2025 draft, who's making those babies? Listen, you are doing the work of white supremacy when you say, I don't give a fuck about them, they don't give a fuck about us. I understand why you would say that, but you are doing the work of white supremacy when you say that. You are. And the thing about hate, really white supremacy and how it functions, is to take away your empathy. Is to make you so callous, so hardened by your experience, by the oppression that's happened to you, that you want to see it happen to other people. Right? The last 15 years has been a study by the government in desensitizing you to humanity. The general human that is walking day to day, going to work, is so desensitized by other humans. We see it a lot with women, but it's with everybody. We see it a lot with black women when we talk about sexual assault and rape and domestic violence. The sheer dehumanization that other humans really don't see other humans and see a human. They don't see a person who got a mama, who got a family, who need to work, who need to eat. They don't see that anymore. And social media, I have been saying that social media has sped up. Of course, you have, brain diseases and mental illnesses, but social media has single-handedly sped that up. And when you think about, as far as black Americans, what we have seen, social media has made it so we see Mike Brown laying in the street for hours. We can hear the audio of Ahmaud Arbery. Like, that is by design. That's not, when I say we're living in a simulation, we are, because there are powers that be that are making this shit happen. They could make other shit happen if they wanted to. So when you get on the internet, and I get where that comes from for black people, I get it, because everybody hates black people, everybody dunks on us. But when you get on the internet and you say, I don't give a fuck about Mexican Americans and about immigrants, when black people are immigrants too. Listen, of course they never stop doing things to us, but if you think it's going to end with them, they devising the plan right now. Okay, because how can we get them too? Because what they brought us here for is to be workers and to be subservient to them. So if you think that it's just ice race and they're not hatching a plan for black Americans to be in subservient positions, we've lost the plot. And it's by design. Not having empathy, not being able to look out into the world and recognize that other human beings deserve to live and be free no matter how you live in, is a very bad sign. It is a very bad sign, and that has been coming, like I was saying, for 10 years plus. It has been working in the making. Make them emotionless. Make them not care about the other person next to them.